So it's Lord Byron, Don Juan. Have you read it?
Well, yes, I have. And it's just something unexpected, although I can't really explain why it looks unexpected.
Well, because he breaks every rule in it. I mean, if you look closer at the whole book, then it's called Don Juan, but really it's all you get glimpses. You know that it's supposed to be a story of this lover and beautiful Laura. You never get to see her properly. You only get to see bits of him. All Byron is talking is the narrator himself. And that's what it makes really funny. So instead of telling you Don Juan's story, he talks about himself, about his time, about what's around him at that moment. And that's what makes it so hilarious. I mean, if you count, you can use a program to count it, how many times he says I in that poem. I don't remember, it's over 100. If you count how many times he says Don Juan or he, it's like maybe 10 times. So it's really funny. So he starts telling, then he just jumps onto something else, then back again. So that's
very self-centered, exactly in line with what we are told to be doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Center our attention on ourselves.
Well, that's what we always do. When was it that people were not doing it? We are always centering our attention on ourselves. And you need a very great practice and self-discipline to quit that. That's what they do in monasteries. Okay.
Even in monasteries, because that was also one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because I feel like I'm sort of a monk somewhere in the desert, being left all alone. But it's not the experience that I'm enjoying. It's not the experience that I have chosen voluntarily. Maybe that's why. And in fact, it involves lots of concentration on what's happening inside you, but in a very crazy way, I would say.
Wow, that is good. We don't need anything that is not crazy. Crazy is your key. How else do you get a new perspective? Crazy means like out of the box. That is all.
Okay.
So we may or may not like what is happening to us. It doesn't matter in the slightest. What matters is how we respond to it. Likes and dislikes are very cheap. They don't matter, I think. What you have is experience, and you can be all grumpy and unhappy, and then you just miss it. Who cares? Who cares why you are doing, you are, like you say, forced to do it? Is it the so-called virus, or is it because, I don't know, you broke your leg, or because your door is broken and you can't open it? Who cares? It doesn't matter. What matters is it is happening, so you may as well make the most of it.
Yeah. But what counts is your response to it.
Hmm?
Is the response.
What did he say?
What counts is the way you respond to it.
How do I respond to it?
Yes, I mean, that's what counts. So not the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the situation just happens to you,
yes.
Like or not like it.
You can sort of respond to that situation in various ways, and the way you choose to respond somehow has an impact on what's
Oh yes, it's all back to the Bible. It doesn't count what comes into you, counts what comes out of you. Your response.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah.
maybe we should start. So it's from the beginning, from Canto 1. It's where we first see Donna Julia, who is Don Juan's first love. And we see her more than we ever do with Laura. Funny. So she's a powerful character in it. It's all very light, very funny, light-hearted. So let's see, that's stanzas 62, 63, and let's see description of the woman. Her eye, I'm very fond of handsome eyes, was large and dark, suppressing half its fire, until she spoke. Then, through its soft disguise, flashed an expression more of pride than ire, and love than either. And there would arise a something in them, which was not desire, but would have been, perhaps, but for the soul which struggled through and chastened down the whole. Her glossy hair was clustered over brow, bright with intelligence, and fair and smooth. Her eyebrow's shape was like an aerial bow, her cheek all purple with a beam of youth, mounting at times to a transparent glow, as if her veins ran lightning. She, in sooth, possessed an air and grace by no means common. Her stature tall, I hate a dumpy woman. Wedded she was some years, and to a man of 50, and such husbands are in plenty. And yet I think, instead of such a one, 'twere better to have two of 25, especially in countries near the sun. And now I think on it, mi viene in mente, ladies, even of the most uneasy virtue, prefer a spouse whose age is short of 30. 'Tis a sad thing, I cannot choose but say, and all the fault of that indecent son, who cannot leave alone our helpless clay, but will keep baking, broiling, burning on. Howsoever people fast and pray, the flesh is frail, so the soul undone. What men call gallantry and God's adultery is much more common where the climate's sultry. So what are our impression of that?
Well, if I am someone who hasn't read Byron much, I might expect something gloomy from him, because that's what is Byronic mood all about, what it is supposed to be all about, which is not the case here. It's full of irony, or at least you might see Byron writing it with a smile on his lips.
Mm-hmm.
A happy smile, perhaps not, but still, there's something in it that makes it a bit not really serious and grave, but adds a dimension of playfulness to this piece.
Uh-huh.
And of course, if you reading that are interested in this huge part of our lives that is about male-female relationship, if you share Byron's passion, maybe, or if you just are someone who's interested in this, it is something that might provoke a response from you. Again, you might might be saying, oh, that's absolutely inappropriate because he's saying something bad about the official husband in that, and he's even playing with his age.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't really speak your age, can we? And then he's describing this lady. He doesn't say she looks attractive, but somehow she attracted his attention. Somehow she manages to keep our attention throughout the entire passage. That's how it all is to be on a first reading.
Mm-hmm. So what he does is he voices everything that we think but don't really dare to say, I suppose. So that's a part of his game. So I'm just looking at the whole text, and if you look for I, then it's 1,100 times through the poem he says I, and it's like this search is like all it's just like every other line he says I, and it's mostly the narrator's I don't think they're talking much, so it's like I. If you look for Juan, then how many times does he say John? 381.
381.
Including the title.
Including the title.
Including the project of ebook Don Juan and title Don Juan and start reading Don Juan and then Don Juan. So, well, anyway, 380 times he says Juan, and only that much. He is 975 times.
Okay.
A bit bad, but still, you see I is just everywhere, just I and I and I. Even in that little bit that we are looking at. Okay. So yeah, he's playing with the reader through the poem, and even in that little bit. Mm-hmm.
Well, a question. This is a passage. Is it considered to be a famous passage from the poem? Is it something that you are supposed to read at school if you are studying Byron?
Well, it's got a bit of description of an important heroine in the book, so we may as well look at it. But really, you may take any bit of the poem; it will be just as spectacular.
Okay.
It's just nicer to have a character to look at than to have it more ambiguous.
Okay, because I was trying to, I was looking, and I have some 2-3 books by Byron in their Russian translations, and I couldn't really find this in the translation, mainly because they are supposed to be read by teenagers, and some of the editors considered this passage inappropriate for someone.
Oh, they don't have it in the translation.
Well, it's not in the books that I have. I have 2 of them. I think the third one is just a translation of Child Herald. But the 2 of them.
Oh, interesting.
So,
Which kind of, again, proves that he's on the right way. Same as YouTube banning all these people who have something clever to say. The same thing. Because it's like, oh, don't give them ideas.
yeah, but again, if you think of Byronic times, early 19th century, it sounds very, well, he's being very open in that passage.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are well into the 21st century, 200 years later. Does it still sound as shocking as it might have to a 19th century audience? Don't we have, also thanks to the internet, lots and lots of examples where the same feeling, or what pretends to be the same feeling, is exposed in much greater detail.
Well, again, as we discussed the other time, it's not what they say, it's how they say. Again, now it's supposed to be shocking and vulgar,
Yeah.
and like shown as normality when it's not. What he does it slightly different. He doesn't say it's a normality as such, because he speaks like with irony. We can feel that he's not really saying that all women should abandon their old husbands and go and find 2 younger ones. We feel that he's stating a fact. It's like we're not hiding it. We know it's true. But because he speaks of it in such a light way, does he approve it? Does he not approve it? Can we say from the passage? No. So we do have lots of stuff, but again, why do we have all that stuff that's going on now, pretending to be normal? Like, well, you name it. If I name it, they will say I'm not being politically correct.
So don't be politically correct, or don't be not correct because you seem to be correct.
Well, anyway, again, if we talk about Christianity, we may talk about Christianity today, considering it's Easter tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
Then it's all in the books. It's all in the books when the dark forces, the devil, tells that, oh yeah, you can have all freedom you like, and people like it. But the small print in it is, but you'll have consequences. You can do what you like, yes, because you have free will. Again, you may not believe it. You're free to do this and that. But the small print, there are always consequences. So you may have same-sex marriage, but there will be consequences. Nobody says you can't, but you will be responsible for it in the end, for your decisions and your actions. Again, it's what they say in church, as everything is allowed, but not everything is good for you. The same here. So people listen to it because it's like, oh yeah, we are free. We have our freedom to do anything we like. And that's how they justify everything they do. Like, oh, let's have abortions because I'm free. I can do what I like with my body. Let's do this, let's do that, because we are free people. And if you tell me I can't do, let's say, abortions for argument's sake, then you are restricting my freedom. I'm a free person, which is one way of looking at it. But then again, there will be consequences. So let's look here. So what do we know about this woman from that little bit?
Not much, and yet quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If I concentrate on that bit for a moment, forgetting there's the rest of the poem to be taken into account, then I don't even know her name.
Well, we have the name somewhere else in the poem, it's just you don't have it in that little bit.
So in a little bit, it begins as if there's someone we are well aware of. It begins by saying "Heyyy," and it tells us immediately that he's talking about a human being. He's talking about a woman, and it's a woman that we all know some way or the other.
So it starts a bit early. We have a bit of description, just a few stanzas before. Amongst her numerous acquaintance, Don Juan's mothers, all selected for discretion and devotion, there was the Donna Julia, whom to call pretty were but to give a feeble notion of many charms in her as natural as sweetness to the flower, or salt to ocean, her zone to Venus, or his bow to Cupid, but this last similar is trite and stupid. The darkness of her oriental eye, so he repeats eye before he gets here, accorded with her Moorish origin. Her blood was not all Spanish, by the by. In Spain, you know, this is a sort of sin. When proud Granada fell, and forced to fly, Boabdil went, of Donna Julia's kin. Some went to Africa, some stayed in Spain. Her great-great-grandmamma chose to remain. She married, I forget the pedigree, with an hidalgo, who transmitted down his blood less noble than such blood should be. At such alliances his sires would frown, in that point so precise in each degree that they bred in and in, as might be shown, marrying their cousins, nay, their aunts and nieces, which always spoils the breed if it increases. This heathenish cross restored the breed again, ruined its blood, but much improved its flesh. For from a root, the ugliest in old Spain, sprung up a branch as beautiful as fresh. The sons no more were short, the daughters plain, but there's a rumour, which I fain would hush. 'Tis said that Donna Julia's grandmamma produced her Don more heirs at love than law. However this might be, the race went on improving still through every generation, until it centered in an only son who left an only daughter. My narration may have suggested that this single one could be but Julia, whom on this occasion I shall have much to speak about, and she was married, charming, chaste, and 23. And then we get to that bit.
Right.
So there's a long, back history of her before we come to her. Why would we have it?
Might look as self-contained. Heyyy. That's what it says at least twice in the preceding stanzas and here. Heyyy. Adding under the handsome eyes. My question is, why doesn't he say Heyyy?
Heyyy.
Heyyy.
Well, eye is like impression. Eye, not like physical eye. Like I look him in the eye.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be eyes. Eye is like uncountable. Like meat, fish, eye.
Hair.
Okay.
Okay. Heyyy, I'm very fond of handsome eyes. Well, that's again not about her. What comes in parentheses is about someone who says hi. Is it the narrator? Is it Byron, who is also the narrator? Is it someone, a bystander, who just happens to know Julia. Heyyy, I'm very fond of handsome eyes.
We have the Byron as narrator through the whole poem. So it's him, and or somebody very much like him, a person of his circle. And as we read through the poem, we get to know that person much better than Don Juan himself, because he just gets in with his remarks every other line.
Yeah, so it's like a journey into Byron, meaning narrator's personality.
Yeah, he has his point of view, he has his mindset, his mentality, his interests, his likes, his dislikes. So you do really get to know this I as you read through the poem.
Again, Byron is often seen as being very, let's say, gloomy and pessimistic.
And for a reason too. But
yes, and for a... But this is not the image that emerges from the page we are reading now.
No.
In fact, it's someone who seems to be enjoying beautiful women, beautiful eyes, who might joke at some joke about someone who's...
Well, it's easy because we're not two-dimensional, we're not even three-dimensional, we're very, very multidimensional. So to say, oh, Byron is gloomy, happy, careless, is, as they say, to label him, you can't do it. Okay, yeah, so even in the beginning, Heyyy, and before he says anything about Heyyy, I'm very fond of handsome eyes. It's like a double game. If we think it's a real story, he is just making a remark on it. But if we think he's inventing it, he says, she has beautiful eyes because I like beautiful eyes, so I put that in the story. As later, I hate a dumpy woman. She is tall because I don't like short women. I don't want to have a short woman in my story. I give you a tall woman. Yeah? So who is he? Is he the observer or the creator or both or neither? Who is he?
Doesn't that remain a mystery?
It might. Heyyy, I'm very fond of handsome eyes, was large and dark, suppressing half its fire until she spoke. Then, through its soft disguise, flashed an expression more of pride than ire, and love than either. There would arise a something in them which was not desire, but would have been perhaps but for the soul which struggled through and chastened down the whole. That's classic. So the first part is describing Heyyy, suppressing half its fire until she spoke. So that gives us a kind of depth. And there's more to her than she reveals.
Yeah, and obviously eyes are often mentioned as swingers of a person's skull. So maybe we can read something into the person by just looking into her eyes. Beautiful, so she must be beautiful, large and dark, and we know that she is tall and dark, and also full of pride and full of love, which is sort of desire, rather than loving your neighbor.
So he is giving us her character, and he says it's more of pride than ire and love than either. So he says there is ire, but not really. It's more like pride, but not really. It's more like love. So he gives us
one design.
That's a bit later. So he doesn't give us doesn't give it straight away. He plays with us. Well, it's like pride, but a bit like ire, but more like love. 'Cause they're all different. As we read through it, we experience all of it very flashingly, but we do. And that makes it more interesting.
For the eyes. It's fitting for the eyes because we are talking about eyes, and then we virtually see this flash in her eyes.
And there would arise something in them which was not desire, but would have been, perhaps, but for the soul which struggled through and chastened down the whole. Again he does the same thing. What does he say here?
The same thing, you say?
Playing, turning, he says it's desire, but it's not desire. But it could be desire, maybe, or maybe not. But, you know, she has such a nice soul that it can't possibly be desire.
It's desire as suppressed by this...
Not suppressed, chastened.
Okay.
Purified, like. What he says...
Fine. Okay.
What he does is he talks about desire. Again, we feel it, and he pretends to deny it, but what he does, he only makes it bigger, obviously. Which is, again, how it works. It's a game, it's not straightforward. And yes, no, maybe no, maybe desire, or maybe she's chaste. So that's two opposites, and he doesn't really fix himself. So we have I, we have soul.
So, as we would put it today, there's a powerful driving force somewhere. Somewhere. And he's trying to explore it, doing some in-depth psychology, as they call it today. On the surface, it might look like ire, but it isn't. Pride. Well, yes, and still, there's more to it than just pride. Love. Not exactly love. Maybe desire, but not really desire, because there's somehow in this lady that produces the aura, has the aura of love and desire about her, somehow emerges as being pure.
So, as a result, we have an expression of a complex person, complex personality. Not just, oh, she is good, he is bad. It's always more complicated than that. Again, like we say, never 2D, 3D, it's multidimensional. Her glossy hair was clustered over her brow, bright with intelligence and fair and smooth. Her eyebrows' shade was like the aerial bow, her cheek all purple, with a beam of youth, mounting at times to a transparent glow, as if her veins were enlightening. She, in sooth, possessed an air and grace by no means common. Her stature tall, I hated on women. So we keep looking at her, we look at her face. Her eye is the first what we see. So that's where the proper description begins, not her pedigree as he puts it. We look into her eyes first of all. Again, if we look into her eyes first of all, means she's a person. Because if you remember Ovid, then we looked at the figure and we enjoyed the girl as a piece of art, her forms, her hair. Here we see it's not just a beautiful body, she has intelligence. Beautiful and intelligent, because we start with eyes. Eyes mean intelligence. Her glossy hair was clustered over her brow, bright with intelligence and fair and smooth. So again, we have intelligence and beauty. He just enjoys describing her glossy hair. Her eyebrow. So we have hair, we have brow, then we have eyebrow. So we again come down little by little. We really enjoy looking at her. We don't give her a general look, say, wow, she had a clever, pretty face. I say, oh, her hair and her brow and her eyebrow and her eyes and her cheek all purple with a beam of youth, mounting at times a transparent glow, as if her wings were enlightening. She possessed an air and grace by no means common. So we look at her face very carefully and we find beauty and intelligence and something that is not from this world, because she is a bit transparent, like a spirit.
Yeah. So instead of just looking at her forms, as you say, instead of looking at her as if she were a beautiful statue or a beautiful toy, we're trying to look inside her, and we only see her eyes, later her hair, her brow, her cheeks as expression of her inner self.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe as the conjunction of inner and outer. So she's beautiful however you look at her. And we have lots of airy words. We have aerial bow. We have the beam of youth, like a ray. Transparent and glow, and lightning. So she gives an impression of a very light person, a half here. So is she properly really here, or maybe she comes from another dimension? So that's when we look at her, we know she's more than just another earthly woman. She's important, she's big. Her stage toe, I hate the dumpy woman. Again, let's play with I and what I like, what I don't like. It's like it's Don Juan who is about to fall in love with Donna Julia, but it's him, the narrator, who talks about her and who says, "Oh, I like this woman." Not Don Juan likes this sort of women, but I like this sort of women. Who cares about Don Juan? Look at me.
Yeah, but this is certainly true. It's probably true of every piece of writing. When there's a description that tells us as much about the object that is described as it does about the narrator.
Oh, narrator.
Narrator. It's much more than that.
Narrator. Again, that's something classical that they teach you on the course of Russian literature, the difference between Leo Tolstoy and Fyodor Dostoevsky, or which they say, if you have Leo Tolstoy, then every single character in his writings are Leo Tolstoy, pretending to be girls, men, horses, anyone, but they're all Leo Tolstoy. Whether if you look at Dostoevsky, then they're just all crazy and everybody's speaking for themselves. So you do have different kinds of writing. In one kind of writing, the author makes everybody express his ideas, speak for him, or Another way of doing it is let them be themselves. They may say something that the author doesn't necessarily agree with.
It's interesting because I see it the other way around. There's much more of Dostoevsky heroes to me than it is of Tolstoy and Tolstoy heroes. Somehow, I don't know. And then there's this famous thing that I already mentioned several times. People who read Tolstoy's War and Peace, for example, should recognize some of the characters played by Tolstoy. So it was sort of common knowledge that he was building on. I don't know. Or maybe it's just, if you are just as great as Tolstoy was, your personality is big, it's not dumpy, and then you can't avoid disclosing all various and often confronting, opposing aspects of your personality. So then your characters then this and this and this and this taken together is Leo Tolstoy.
Yeah. Then again, now the question's a bit different, because we don't have the author speaking or not speaking through his characters that much, as we have the narrator. And again, having a I narrator can be tricky, because people think automatically that I, the narrator, is the same as I, the author, which is not true. Because the narrator is a separate character, which just happens to be called I. But still, I hate Dumpy Woman. So we have the presence of this narrator through the poem, and it makes it much more lively, much more personal, like you have a real living person talking to you. It's like a special kind of storytelling. You know, like we have that impersonal storytelling, and when we have a story being clearly being told by a person. So either you may have some funny words and expressions, or like hear his opinion on things everywhere. So it's funny and it's profound, because if you use a narrator, then you are guiding the reader. If he says something and then makes a comment on it, he makes the reader look that way. And he does it again and again and again through the poem. So he is shaping what the reader perceives. Yeah? So suppose he didn't say, I hate a dumpy woman, then we wouldn't even pay much attention to that bit. Because, well, okay, she was tall, nice, why not? But if he stresses it, then we have an opposite example of a dumpy woman who is not in here. And then we feel it, we think about it, we pay attention to it. And suddenly it becomes important.
So he wants to create a striking image. Maybe he doesn't want to create it, but that's what he does. And of course there are lots of contrasts. Hair, which is very likely to be an outstanding picture, as seen against her face, nearly transparent. Her dark eyes, again, flashing, and the entire body, a tall stature that he's describing. So it's something that is meant to be very impressive, something that you can't avoid.
Yes, and then he just makes this a really silly remark and puts it back to a light mode again. So that's what he does as well. Yes, I agree. He avoids being too serious. He needs to be serious because if you want to have a beautiful woman, you can't really laugh at it, because then she's not beautiful, she's laughable. But he can show you the beautiful woman in all her beauty, so we understand how she's attractive in many ways and why what happened between her and Don Juan. And if you read through, then it was her idea as much as his, and at the same time it just happened naturally. Because if you read, then at first she was a friend of the family, and first Don Juan was a little boy, so it was not a problem for her to come to him. And then a few years passed, and suddenly 10-15 years difference is nothing. And then they sit on a bench, and just occasionally, just by an accident, his hand is around her, and she didn't mind. She thought it was her hand. That's how he puts it. So she's a living person. She may look like a statue. Yeah, her stature tall. She may look like a statue, but she's a living person. And he shows it here as well by taking it down again. So every time you go up, you take it down. I hate to dump a woman.
Yeah.
So she's like a goddess, but at the same time, she's a living person.
Yeah, the word dump is probably not the best word you can choose. Say something neutral, short,
yeah,
or not very clever. Instead, prefer this dumpy word. Again, with all connotations, dump, things like that.
Yes, indeed. So we again, it's Shakespearean in that sense, that you keep high and low in good balance. If you're too serious, then who needs it? I just fall asleep. If you're only funny, then again, okay, we'll have a laugh and forget all about it. But if you have a mixture, then it lasts. So she's intelligent, she's beautiful, and
she is
wedded. Wedded she was some years. So she puts wedded in the first place, because it's important. Not she was wedded, but wedded she was. Some years, and to a man of 50, and such husbands are in plenty. So now again, he tells us that little bit about her, and he just digresses again to tell his opinion about it. We don't even know what she thinks about it. Well, maybe we can guess, but we don't know. Well, we know what he thinks about it. Every time we meet anything, we know what he, the narrator, thinks about it. We don't know his name, we don't know anything, we just know a man of 50, and that's the most important in this case. Because we know she's that old, we know Don Juan is that old. Where was it? Somewhere down. If I can find it. And then, of course, we stop it here with what men call gallantry and God's adultery is much more common where the climate sultry. And then he goes on like, happy the nations of the moral north, where all is virtue and the winter season sends seen without a rag on shivering forth. 'Twas snow that brought St. Anthony to reason, where juries cast up what a wife is worth, by laying whatever sum and mark they please on the lover, who must pay a handsome price because it is a marketable vice. Marketable vice. So again, he seems to be talking about hot countries like Italy, and then he's like throwing a stone at his own country. Oh, but we in the north, they are all very moral. We never do anything bad. If we do something bad, we just pay a fine and we are fine. Okay, Julia was Donna Ines quite a favorite friend. Okay, she saw. So first they were Juan she saw, and as a pretty child caressed him often. Such a thing might be quite innocently done and harmless styled when she had 20 years and 13 he. So if she's 20 and he's 13, then it's like a big gap. But I'm not so sure I should have smiled when he was 16, Julia 23. These few short years make wondrous alterations, particularly amongst sunburned nations. So, and then they kind of try to resist it for a bit, but they can't help it. So it starts innocently, and what he says that she is a nice woman, but she just can't help it. It just happens. Okay, wedded she was some years to a man of 50, and such husbands are in plenty. Yet I think instead of such a one, 'twere better to have two of 5 and 20.
Again, joking, but also showing her as being unique. And the husband, a man, then husbands are in plenty. There's nothing unique about them. There are many, many, many of them. There might be 50 husbands, for all we know, such as this one, because of word placement.
And also he says that men, husbands are in plenty, and they're like things. So you can exchange one which is 50 for two which are 5 and 20.
Yeah, something that you can do when you're buying or selling things, when you're paying when you're using some coins.
You think, well, what can I buy for 50? Do I buy one for 50 or two for 25? That's kind of what he says here. Of course, it's really funny, and it's funny because we know it's true. We know that's on many people's minds. He just gets to say it.
Yeah.
And of course, as we read it, we can see in our mind that slave hand, this transformation. We have one man of 50, and he becomes two people of 25. Magic. He shows us magic.
Yeah. And somehow they get connected to her. These people who are 25, these two young men who are 25 years of age, are more or less connected to her, while the husband remains disconnected, remains someone maybe just boring. There's nothing you can say about him. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, all that matters is that he is 50 and she is 23.
Right.
Especially in countries near the sun. And now I think on it, mi viene in mente, ladies, even of the most uneasy virtue, prefer a spouse whose age is short of 30. Again, you may or may not agree. Again. But he speaks for all ladies, and he puts it as the ultimate truth. Because the narrator is quite arrogant and sure of himself, and he believes that whatever he thinks is true is universally true. Okay, especially in countries near the sun. That's where we start this idea, which continues in the next stanza.
Yeah. lots of writers, including lots of Russian writers, admire these countries which are nearer to the sun. We might be very, well, let's say traditional, patriotic, whatever, like Portugal is, and still spend lots of time in Italy admiring the scenery and maybe admiring the natives.
Surely. Well, then again, the little trick is that to the British, the Italians were like nothing, like Tajiki to Russians. So they're more like animals than like people. That's the common idea. Yeah. So when he describes all it, he also really makes fun on all the highbrow Britons. Say, no, we are not like that. And people laugh at it. Like, of course, in the countries near the sun, they're all like that in there. Obviously, if you say a man of 50, husband of 50 should be traded for 2 of 5 and 20, you're only speaking about body. You don't think about experience, mind, consciousness, love. All you think is body and good looks.
Yeah.
So
in our consciousness, the man of 50 is then connected to England or other countries of the north with their...
No, it doesn't matter. He's not connected to a country, so that's a position. We have a man of 50 and 2 of 5 and 20. And he says in Italy it's important. In Italy they only think about body, and so that the husband is young and not old. And people who read it, they may laugh at it, say, yeah, because in Italy they're all like that, but we here, no, never.
Yeah, we are very serious, like someone who's 50 years old, and they are a young nation.
Yeah.
They all seem to be 25.
Oh, they are in a respect. And then, because just when people start laughing at them, he hints that, you're not that different. We in the north, we are a moral nation. It is a sad thing, I cannot choose but say. So again, he's playing. Does he really think it's sad?
No.
No, he enjoys it. He thinks it's a natural. It happens. I cannot choose but say. So why would he say it if he doesn't really think so?
Just to emphasize, he doesn't think so.
Well, we know he doesn't think so. So he says, it is a sad thing, I cannot choose what to say. So maybe that's because he's talking to the reader, and the reader's like, no, you're vulgar, you're immoral. You can't really mean it. He said, no, I don't mean it. I say it's a sad thing. I make myself safe by saying it. So technically I say I don't agree. Cannot choose but say. Again, he doesn't say I think, he says I cannot choose but say. Why is another question. And all the fault of that indecent son who cannot leave her alone, her helpless clay, but will keep baking, broiling, burning on, that howsoever people fast and pray, the flesh is frail, and so the soul undone. So again, it's not us, it's not people, it's the sun. It's the sun's fault. And the sun is a person who, not which. Which reminds me of Othello, when he says, it is the very era of the moon. She comes more nearer earth than she was wont, and makes men mad. So I don't have a free will. It's all planets. It's the sun makes me lusty, and the moon makes me bloodthirsty. I'm not responsible for my actions. I'm just a little piece of clay. Again, when he says it, we can feel he doesn't really mean it. What he really says that it's not just Italy, it's you as well. And don't pretend you didn't know what you were doing. Because obviously you're not just helpless clay.
Okay.
The sun is indecent, not me.
Okay. And then you might say, right, it's immoral to cheat a husband who is 50 years old, who is twice as old as the lady who happens to be his wife. But is it moral, then, he thinks, to have a husband who is 50? No, not at all. It's much better, in fact, to have two of them who are twice as young.
Okay, we know it's a joke.
Yeah, we know.
Because you can break 50 into 2 or 5 and 20.
If you're someone who wants to finesse, to say, okay, you do something, you commit an error, which in religious terms is a sin, and a very important one, not just eating something unallowed when you are fasting. Again, he mentions fasting here, fasting and prayer here. And then he asks, okay, we might explain it by referring to the sun. It's all the sun's fault.
Well, it's a very big theory of how climate is supposed to affect people.
Yeah. But it's not. And then he might say, okay, you are telling us, or you are thinking, maybe you, the reader, the husband who is 50-year-old, you are thinking that I'm immoral. But look at you. Look at yourself in the mirror of my parents. Is it moral to buy a woman simply because you are 50 and rich?
Well, nobody says that. We don't have that. Do not make that mistake. Nobody says that she only... That's, again, it's a stereotype.
Yes.
Why would you follow it? Why? It's a stereotype that if the man is old and the wife is young, then she only married him because of money. No. That's rubbish. And he says nothing of it.
Okay, so that wasn't something that was in his mind.
Not at all. What he says is, no matter how, for some reason, the lady ends up being wed to a man who is older than her. What do we have? Oh, we don't really have anything much about her husband here. Just, he was called Don Alfonso, and apparently Don Juan's mother was kind of in love with him, but even before his marriage she forgot herself. Okay. So Don Juan's mother, apparently, I'm just looking quickly at it, apparently she was Donna Julia's husband's lover, and she still kept some old connection, and that's why she had Donna Julia as her close friend, because otherwise there would be a scandal or something like that. So again, it's not straightforward. It's all very funny. But it never says that somebody married somebody else for money. No. No, it's a normal thing for the husband to be older than the wife, because if they're both young and stupid, then who is the brain in the family?
Yeah, if he's young and stupid and he's old and stupid, it might work better.
Yeah, it might work out better, because at least he might not be an impulsive idiot. He might still be. But that's again the ideally stereotype that if somebody is old, then that person is at least experienced, if not intelligent. He might not be intelligent, but at least has some ideas, some practical ideas of how to run a household and how to do business. Whether if they're both young and they have no idea what's going around. That's what happens today, really, in today's world. Then one young idiot marries another young idiot, and then you have a family of two young idiots who both need to find their way to their wisdom, which is a bit difficult, because how can they help each other? So I think what he puts here is just a typical situation. He says plenty of such husbands, because it was normal for the husband to be considerably older than the wife. It was a tradition, it was normal, it was nothing. Okay. So now we say, it's all the sun, it's all the moon, it's not me. I'm just a bit of clay. Howsoever people fast and pray, the flesh is frail. Again, it's an excuse, and it's a very common excuse, and he includes it into his poem here. And as he does it in this way, we can see that it's not really an excuse. Like they say, oh no, he just can't give up drinking, can't give up this, that. It's in his flesh. The flesh is frail. He's a poor creature. Or he just can't change himself or herself. No. Like again, we were talking about last time, nothing you can't do if you set your mind on it. There are real stories like about people who became like sodomites, and then they realized it was not a good idea, and they fought their way back. It wasn't easy for them. They could do it. Or drug addicts, or people who have other problems. You really set your mind onto it. It might not be easy, but you can do it. What's to stop you?
So you think that he's very serious here? He pretends to be joking, but what he means is really you shouldn't try and find excuses. You shouldn't really be saying the flesh is frail. Is that what was in his mind?
Well, you can feel that he is talking with a great deal of irony, so you should take all his words inverted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what people he brings in the argument which people use in all earnest, and he just shows you that it doesn't amount to much. Oh, it's a sound. What men call gallantry and gods adultery. Yeah, so we have again man and gods, gods in plural because it's Italy, which makes us think about all the ancient Rome gods. So what's the difference between gallantry and adultery? Is it the same thing?
Well, it's not if you follow the usual definitions. As we find out in the poem later, when, as you say, they happen to be sitting somewhere and Long John's hands happens to be it's something. Yes, I'm making it froggish. It's interesting. So this is what he says is again an explanation or an excuse someone might provide. Saying, no, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just gathering. It's, it's the sort of respect we show to the ladies. And again, is it all that bad? Because the problem in the world as we know it today, or at least in some parts of the world that are much more advanced than the rest of us in terms of technology and morals, is that showing a woman that she is a woman, she is a lady, and that she has a right to enjoy special treatment, unlike men. So this is denied in some of the countries of the north, so to speak. And I think it's denied by the society in general, but there are many, many, many women who would say, no, that's not the way you should respond to me. You should see a human being in me rather than a woman. And as a human being, you and I are equal. You and I both deserve honest treatment, but it doesn't really mean that you should be gallant to me, that you should make some passes, some advances.
Well, that's when the women right fighters go off the rails, because they take it a bit too much. Because think what they will. We are all human beings, that's correct. As beings of consciousness, we are all equal, that's correct. But not in the sense that now you can go around and do what you like, but in the sense of respect. In the sense, now we can talk about the right, I don't know, political rights, the right to get education, but it doesn't mean that we are physically the same still. Yeah? It's like you have a boat and you have a car, and they're equal in the sense that they're means of transport, but you don't want to use a boat on a road or car on a lake. Same as with men and women.
Very often, though, these manifestations of gallantry seem to be prohibited.
Well, what I say, if somebody wants to pay for me, be it man or woman, if they like it, okay, go for it. And another time I might be paying for someone else. We all do what we can do to each other. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Why would you get offended if somebody wants to show their good feelings and their respect? No, don't show your respect to me, you bastard.
Yes,
I'm too good for you.
That's what often happens.
Well, people do lots of strange things. It doesn't really count. Because if people go and do, like we said before, I know, abortions...
Well, then we can at least try and explain why this thing is immoral. And then when you...
Gallantry. Gallantry is immoral.
Well, you can feel that gallantry is immoral because if you think you are just nice and you help the lady next to you to put her coat on, and she says, no, please, I'm pretty much capable of helping myself. I'm an independent.
Okay, then again, there's...
It permitted something which is immoral and stupid.
It's not immoral. It's not immoral. Again, it's not what we do. It's how we do. Again, the same mistake. Not what we do, how we do. Because you can do it in such way that the lady feels like you show your care, your attention to her. And if you do, if that's what you're doing, you will feel if she wants to be helped or not. You will feel, and then you do what she wants in that way, because you feel, because you care about her. Whether if you just want to patronize her, it might not be good, and she will feel it. So you don't offer it because you care about her, but because you want to say, I'm the boss. I'm the big man in here. It's all about how you do it. So you can't say, offering the coat to a lady is bad or good. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Again.
What about if you do that as Donna Juan would do that, being gallant? Not because you have something else in mind, but just because she is a woman, you're a man, and you want to show it. You want to say.
Okay, again, what is the meaning behind what you're doing? If the meaning is to show that you are superior, yeah, in the sense I have your code, I make you do what I want, like take the code from me. Then of course she feels it. She feels that you're being oppressive. If you do it because she's a woman and she's so beautiful, I want to be her servant, I want to do something nice and pleasant for her to make her happy, she feels that too. So it's not what you do, it's how you do. So that's so much for gallantry. What men call gallantry and God's adultery. So he talks about praying, fasting, flesh, and we have this difference between man and gods, how men see it, how gods see it. So it's funny that he says gods and not God, because gods, a plural as in Roman or Greek gods, they're quite liberal in that sense, as we know.
Oh yes, certainly are.
But still, when he says, you may think it's gallantry, but really it's adultery. You may think it's just the sun being nasty, baking your clay, but really it's adultery. It's how you call it, it doesn't matter how you call it. A rose is sweet by any other name, or what they say. Yeah, it's still adultery, whatever you call it. Gods know it. So again, how do you choose your stand? Do you say, it's just gallantry, then you're with man? But if you say, well, actually, truth be told, I know it's adultery, then that's from the more universal point of view. So what men call gallantry and God's adultery is much more common where the climate's sultry. So sultry, again, like she's a hot woman, so sultry has this connotation. You can say so about climate, but it also has like a hot chick. So in rhyming, it's also a joke in rhyming. Adultery rhyming with sultry. What else does he rhyme here? Fire, ire, desire. Well, that's reasonable. Disguise, arise. Soul, whole. Again, soul is whole. Brow, bow, glow. Smooth youth. Well, smooth and youth. And sooth. But then he has this little joke. Common and woman. But he does it in a negative. Because he shows us an exceptional woman, and then he rhymes common with woman. Okay, man, one, son, 2020 in Menti. Virtue and prefer a spouse whose age is short of 30. That's a little joke again, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also something about his pronunciation, so probably he would say virtue 30. So that's...
Not necessarily. Virtue 30. Virtue 30. We don't. Maybe not. Say, clay, pray. So it's like humble bit. Sun, burning on, undone. So that's nice, because on one hand we have clay and pray, on another sun and undone, and sultry and adultery, which is funny. And then if we just look at how they met. Julia had honor, virtue, truth and love for Don Alfonso, her husband. She inly swore by all the vows below to powers above, she never would disgrace the ring she wore, nor leave a wish which wisdom might reprove. And while she pondered this, besides much more, one hand on Juan's carelessly was frown. Quite by mistake, she thought it was her own. Unconsciously, she leaned upon the other, which played within the tangles of her hair, and to contend with thoughts she could not smother, she seen by the destruction of her heir. 'Twas surely very wrong in John's mother to leave together this imprudent pair. She who for many years had watched her son so, and very certain mine would not have done so. The hand which still had John's, by degrees, gently but palpably, confirmed its grasp, as if it said, "Detain me, if you please." Yet there's no doubt she only meant to clasp his fingers with a pure platonic squeeze. She would have shrunk as from a toad or asp had she imagined such a thing would rouse a feeling dangerous to a prudent spouse. So we spend a big part of the poem talking about how they absolutely, totally do not want to fall in love with each other. And then we have this little scene. Oh, no, it was meant to be just, platonic. Okay, so anything else?
No, I'm fine to be platonic.
Okay, so let's leave on being platonic.